What's up guys, Johnny from the Steel Shop here, working on a new 2018 Jeep Wrangler JK. Going to be adding an Alpine i209 WRA with a Alpine backup camera as well. Not the fancy C-Cam one, just a regular Alpine backup camera. Also going to be adding an XT 1005 V2 with some JL Audio C2 components front and rear. And also going to be adding the JL Audio Stealth Box that gets mounted in the back over one of the wheel wells. It's with the TW1. You can see here, there's the Alpine i209 WRA backup camera, stealth box, and amp. And here's the Jeep right here. Now this is from Starwood Motors. So right now we get the opportunity to do all the stereo work before it's lifted with the with the 35s, and heck, they're doing 37s and 38s now. So we're lucky enough to get it while it's still short and easy to work on. Otherwise, we're not, having to climb in and out all the time. All right, so now I'm gonna uninstall the factory radio here. Get a nice little panel tool, pop out the window controls here, pull as hard as you can, so you can get to this red release tab right here, a little locking tab. Pop it out, set it aside. Take off the lower panel right here, and it exposes two 7mm. One more 7 was revealed behind the window switch. That's where a lot of the times I see guys mess up. They just take out those two, and there's one more up here. Take out a little rubber tray, but yeah, they'll just take out those 3 screws here, not know about that one. And I've seen a lot of the time this part of the dash is broken. Thankfully, I work on a lot of brand new Jeeps that, heck, I mean, this thing has probably 10 miles on it. So I don't have to worry about the broken dash. There's the 4th screw underneath that rubber pad right there. Lower the steering wheel down, unsnap it, set it aside. Take out the 4 7s, holding the radio in place. Now drop it. There we go. See, there's a little metal support for the back of the radio. So it might be in there a little tight, but just give it a little tug and it'll come out. 4 plugs on the back side of the radio. This is the main plug. This is the Uconnect plug, the AM/FM antenna, and the satellite radio antenna. Go and set this aside. So we're gonna need to remove the rear support that's right here. Now, so you can get to this one on the right real easy. Now the trick is you can't get your drill in here to get this one out because you're at like a 45-degree angle. So if you have one of these nice long 1/4-inch extensions for your drill, go ahead and put it in the drill. There's a hole perfectly placed right there. Pop the socket on after it's already through the hole. You can get that 7 out. Make sure you pop your socket back off because you will pull it right off and it'll go in the dash and you'll never find it again. Quick way to remove the metal bracket here. You can see this is where that 4th screw was. This holds in the radio. 2 7s right there. And you go throw it away. Here's the C2 components in the rear soundbar. That's what it looks like with the grill on. You can kind of see it. You can barely see the little tweeter in there as well. Definitely an upgrade from these, you know, cheap $2 factory speakers. Paper cone. And here's their not so tweeter, just so they can try to get a little more full range. Here's how I gracefully install the rear soundbar by myself. Best part about these Jeeps is I don't have to be super careful with the seats, because they're gonna get replaced with leather seat covers. Now that doesn't mean I'm gonna razor blade into the seats on purpose or anything, but just means I don't have to worry about, I don't have to be super careful like I would normally. Whew. Hello. And this snap-on impact is the shit. There we go. A lot of times guys will take out these hand bolts. You don't have to. There's a big enough hole around it to fit that up and around it. Because man, these take forever to twist out by yourself. Alright, so this is where I like to go through the firewall here. This is a little, here where it's at. Speaker, passenger side. There's a little plastic wing nut that holds the carpet up. So I call it just like 11 o'clock of that stud right there. If you can't go directly above it. There's a factory wiring harness that runs that way. So drill a hole right there. I've snapped in a grommet on the firewall. I've got my power wire pushed through. And this is my zip tie snake. If you run a zip tie snake just behind the battery box right here, down in that corner, you'll see it pops out right down there. Then you can pull it up. Alright, so now that I've got my power wire ran through the firewall, gonna make my ring terminal with solder my ring terminal to my wire that's gonna go in my keys holder. Get this copper lug nice and hot. Start pouring some solder in. It's good to make sure that the solder's overflowing there. While it's still a little hot, grab my crimper here. Set up right around it. Alright, go to 10. A lot of times when it's really hot, it'll actually kind of fuse the bottom die there. Alright, so that leaves me with this. Then I'm gonna cut off the little winglets right there with some cutters and heat shrink over this whole thing. Wire up my amplifier. I already have my RCA's hooked up right there. You're just gonna take the amp cover off and hook up my 4 speaker wires off the speed wire and the 12 gauge that's gonna go back to the stealth box in the back. Amplifier's all wired up. dash. I need to take out the two air vents here, and thankfully just cut across this line right here. Then this becomes trash, and this is what we put back on the dash. And then the new Alpine i209 face snaps over on this side. I'm gonna start out by unsnapping the air vents here. Let's see. Yep. So just gotta twist them like this. There's a little locking tab on the back that you gotta push down. Try to show it here. Twist, and they pop out. Same thing on the other one. And really, that's the same across all these air vents. So if you ever want to take those apart and paint them, pop out. All right, time for some cutting. Alrighty, let's see here. 2 pieces. Now I'm going to clean up this edge just a little bit. So there's the edge just kind of cleaned up. I took a file a little bit just at the top there. Here's the air vents installed in the new Alpine fascia piece. Buttons and everything. Nice finish on here. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. I'm going to install the stealth box. I'm going to start with taking out the T30s that hold on the back part of the roof. Take those bolts. They're not going to be reused. Pull the carpet back and just start sliding the factory, I guess you'd call it a nut, back and forth just to try to get it to release. That's actually going to come all the way out. There's little tabs that hold it on. So you can see it right here. That threads into there. Pull these little legs down and pull it out. Do it for both the front and the middle one. Came out. Now I'm going to loosen up the seat belt. It's a T30 on the factory roof bolt and a 18mm holding on the seat belt. Let's see, get it here. That came out. This is just an 18mm nut. I'm going to go ahead and grab my brackets. I'm going to go ahead and install the one that goes into the seatbelt strap. Get that lined up. I'm just going to snug it up a little bit so I can make sure everything's loose so I can fine tune the exact position. Now I'm going to put on the side brackets that are held on the roof. The short side goes towards the stealth box. And this is where we're going to use the longer ones because we have the factory hardtop. And also on these bolts here, there's 3 washers, two metal ones, and a plastic one. You want to put the plastic one so you don't scratch the factory roof. You go ahead and set that in there. Pull the carpet down. A 13mm wrench with my 13mm socket on my impact. Now I'm going to mount the stealth box and try to get it lined up. This is the front side of the stealth box. Uses the Allen head bolt. So there's 2 different types of fasteners that have to mount the stealth box. It makes it harder for thieves to try to steal the stealth box. go ahead and start off with the Allen head bolt. Now I'm going to attach the bolts that go from the brackets, the short side, into the back side of the stealth box. Alright, now this is a good time to pull the seatbelt back, close the seat, and make sure you have plenty of clearance between this and the back of the seat, because this rests up right against there, so if you have it too far forward, it's going to make it difficult to latch the back of the seat. As you can see, once now that I have it latched, it's kind of difficult. It's not releasing as easy, so I'm going to push on the stealth box. Give it good persuasive hits. Test one more time. I think that's it. Tighten down the bracket bolts that are attached to the roof, and then tighten down the two that are on the back of the box, Allen head, and the seatbelt bolt. That's it. Here's the radio all finished up. So I currently have it on the gauges screen here. So it's able to pull information from the OBD2. So let me rev it a little bit. Also able to see individual tire pressures, which door is open. It'll even show if the back gate is open. If there's ever a check engine light, I think over here the check engine light logo will pop up. It'll actually read any check engine lights, so you're not having to find a OBD2 reader. You can read your codes and also clear them off the radio as well. I'll show the backup camera, so you can tap it to view it on demand, or it'll automatically come on when you put it in reverse. Pull the parking brake to go into the settings screen here. Volume. Also, the steering wheel controls work as well, and this will activate Siri, or whenever you're on Bluetooth, it'll also activate Siri as well, so it's not only during CarPlay. Nav will activate whenever you are on the whenever you have the phone plugged in and maps going.